Consistent reading is the best way, hands down, to nurture a growth mindset. Today, we're going to discuss the lifelong benefits that come from the simple practice of reading for 5 minutes each day. What's up, everybody? Welcome back into another episode of Fast and Focused. I'm Zach Matthews, and you are watching episode 3 of our 10 Transformative Habits for Health and Success series. Today, you're going to discover how reading for a mere 5 minutes every single day can powerfully impact you on your road to self-discovery and self-growth. And yes, if you were wondering, this is in fact the book that I wrote, Climbing Your Self-Discipline Tree, the 3 essential phases for any worthwhile goal. If you're interested in picking up a copy of this, I'll leave a link to the Amazon purchase page below. First things first, I just want to say this off the top and remind everybody that the whole point of this 10 Transformative Habits for Health and Success series is all about creating small habits and focusing on implementing those into our lives. That way it creates sustainability. So if you were wondering why I'm stressing the importance of only reading for 5 minutes, I'm not saying that's the maximum amount of time. You can read for as long as you like. 5 minutes is just something that's easy to commit to and something that we can just implement into our lives because it's not that overwhelming to do so. All right. So with that being said, let's jump into the benefits that you can look forward to of reading on a consistent basis in your daily life. Okay. So first and foremost, it's going to strengthen your cognitive skills. In other words, it's going to strengthen your brain power. This is essential for critical thinking and problem solving. And reading books on a consistent basis, whether it be fiction or nonfiction, just opens you up to different ideas. It's going to give you more arrows in your quiver, so to speak, so that you can tackle different failures or things you haven't experienced before, relying on the experience and advice of others that you've read in other books. Okay. Benefit number 2, it opens up your world. So as you know, walking every day in your same shoes, going through your same, life and everything like that, we develop personal biases and personal, perspectives that are, individual and unique to us. The problem with that's good, but the problem with that is that we don't understand what it's like to walk a day in the life of someone who has a different lifestyle than us, okay? Or they just, they have more experience, they have less experience, whatever it might be. So it just opens you up to a new world, and what I mean by that is it just maybe fosters more empathy or just understanding, which is especially important for all you leaders out there, or people that want to be in leadership positions one day. You always hear about the best bosses being the ones that started at the entry level position and work their way up. That's because they have a better understanding of what everybody's going through. If that's not how your journey is lined up, or you want to skip a step or whatever, then reading books can help you understand what they're going through so that you can be a better leader. It opens up your world, okay? And then the third benefit from a leadership perspective of consistent reading is it enhances your knowledge, right? Who doesn't want to be smarter? And reading books on a consistent basis, it can enhance things like your vocabulary and just comprehension on different subjects. So you don't have to have, gone to college for every single subject you're going to face, but reading books just helps you stay sharp and stay at the cutting edge of different exercises and different subjects that you'll come across in your daily life. One of the biggest reasons you might not currently be consistently reading or find it hard to do so is because you're just not prioritizing or planning for it ahead of time. Now let's go over 3 different tips that I have for you that can help you kind of plan for things and make it more automatic in your daily life. Number 1, you want to establish a continuous, consistent reading time. Now that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to time block it and timestamp it and say 9 p.m. every night is when I read. No, you can think about a point in the day, so to speak. So for example, for me, it's when I go to bed at night because, once I'm laying in bed, that means the kids are asleep or, nodding off and everything is quiet. And so I could just focus on the book. Any other point in the day, I really can't do that. But, then there's Mark Batterson, who's the author of Win the Day. And in that book, he talks about how he uses his bathroom breaks as his time for reading. So every time he goes to the bathroom, he, gives himself 5 minutes to read the book. And it usually equates to, after all the different bathroom breaks he has during the day, he said it usually adds up to about 30 minutes a day that he can spend on just reading and eliminating distractions. Okay, so whatever time works for you, find it and make it a consistent commitment. Number 2, create a reading environment. So create something that's cozy and distraction free, right? Kind of like what we were talking about a few weeks ago with the deep work when we're focused on, hard, difficult tasks or big projects. Same thing with your reading. You have to be intentional about eliminating the distractions. Put the phone somewhere else for a few minutes. You can spare being away from your phone for 5 minutes. No call that you're going to get cannot be responded to in 5 minutes, I promise you. Even if it is an emergency, which hopefully it's not. And then number 3 there on our practical tips for reading is just set small reading goals. Again, that's why we're doing the 5 minutes every day, because you can gain momentum on that. That's something that you can build over time as the habit grows. But for now, 5 minutes is something that anybody can stick to, even those of you with the most hectic work schedule possible. You can commit to 5 minutes. You just have to find 5 minutes in your day. And if you don't have 5 minutes to dedicate to reading at some point in your day, then you have a bigger problem. So use these 3 tips to kind of help you understand how you can plan for it ahead of time, and therefore just zero in on the time that you're going to spend focusing on yourself, focusing on learning new skills and new perspectives through reading every single day. Now, before we wrap up, there's just one other thing that I want to touch on and encourage you guys with, and that is to find books that you actually enjoy. Now, many of us, when we're starting to get into this habit, we can fall into the trap of asking other people what books we should read. And that is a good starting place, but you need to be mindful of the fact that what you enjoy might not be what they enjoy, even if you have similar interests. Trust me, I've fallen into this trap before. So always, always, always prioritize books that you enjoy, whether it be fiction, nonfiction, whether it's self-help. Always find topics that you have a vested interest in, because otherwise you're going to get 20, 30 pages in, if that, and you're going to drop the book and be discouraged from keeping this habit going over the long haul. So always focus on things that you enjoy. Now, one thing that I do personally is that when I find it hard to focus on the self-help part of my life, and I'm finding it difficult to focus on those self-help books or those nonfiction books, then what I'll do is I'll kind of stack it. So I'll tell myself that I'm going to read for 5 minutes, or I'm going to read one chapter of a self-help book on a subject that I'm interested in. And then, so let's say, for example, it's finances, right? I mean, I have a vested interest in that, but that's not something that gets me excited necessarily. So I promise myself that if I read that chapter, then I can read a fiction book that I also have on my nightstand. And the fiction book actually helps me in 2 ways. First of all, it gives me a story that I can get excited about and something that I am vested in and look forward to, kind of rewarding myself for also pouring into my self-growth with the nonfiction book that I read before. But also the fiction book helps me kind of nod off to sleep. So something about fiction books for me, and I know I'm not the only one that feels this way, it just kind of helps you ease into sleep over time. So it could actually improve your sleeping habits as a result. So always get creative with those things. But the lesson from this segment of this video, of this episode, is to encourage you, just find a book that you're interested in, even if it seems silly to other people, whether that's Harry Potter or a self-help book that you've had your eyes on for a long, long time. Just pick that book up and start, and that's going to help you build the habit that you want to build over time. All right, everybody. Well, that concludes this episode of our 10 Transformative Habits for Health and Success series. I want to challenge you guys to stick to this habit that we've talked about. Give yourself the next 7 days. Make it a commitment that you're going to read for 5 minutes every single day. And like I said, we need to find a reading time that we can stick to every single day. So whether that's going to bed at night, whether it's the first thing you read in the morning, whenever you feel like you're in a good headspace to read for 5 minutes, make it a consistent routine. That's what we're going for. That's what's going to build the habit. And please share your experiences in the comments below so that it can encourage other people and just help other people understand what might work or might not work for them as they try to implement this habit. Thank you so much again for joining us on this episode of Fast and Focused in our 10 Transformative Habits for Health and Success series. If you enjoyed this episode and found it valuable, please remember to like, share, and subscribe to the channel so that you can be updated anytime a new episode drops. And for all of those of you who just invested time in your self-growth by tuning into this episode, remember to keep pushing forward, stay resilient, and focus on the journey ahead.